everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first video in Practical Magic, which is a new segment I have introduced to my channel very recently. And basically what Practical Magic is me sharing recipes, spell ideas, crafting ideas and a few other little bits and pieces, all of a practical witchcraft nature. Now I am making a money oil tonight, and I was already planning to do this, and I thought, well, it's the perfect time to whip out the camera and film it, and hence this is the first video in Practical Magic. Now I did sort of hum and ha with myself about actually sharing this, because there are tons of money oil videos already on YouTube and on Pinterest and probably all over Instagram, but I wanted to share my version because I think it differs slightly from other ones that I have seen, and it's also quite a simple recipe. Some oils are really complex, and if you are a beginner practitioner then it can be a little bit daunting, sort of thinking that you have to buy a whole bunch of stuff. Now as we continue on with this segment and other videos that I've got planned, I will refer to newcomers to the craft as either beginner practitioners or newcomers. I absolutely detest the term baby witch. I think it's demeaning and I think it sounds immature, and I absolutely hate it. So I never use that term when I'm describing someone that is new to the path. They're either a beginner practitioner or they're a newcomer, and more often than not I use the term beginner practitioner. I hate the term baby witch, much like I hate the term baby bat used to describe people that are new to the Gothic subculture. That irritates me to no end. Anyway, moving right along. So money oil. Now the reason why I am making a money oil anyway is because here in New Zealand, it's kind of hit the fan a little bit with COVID and Omicron. We're having lots of cases a day. I think today's tally was like 22,000 something new cases. Now that might not seem like a lot if you're living in America or the UK, but New Zealand's got a really little population, like 5.3 million, I think, last count, something like that, in the whole country. So numbers like that are pretty big, and a lot of things have been affected, and I want to ensure that my job continues to sustain us financially. There have been a few changes to my job already. I do work in the healthcare sector, and I just want to make sure that those changes don't impact my ability to pay my bills. So I don't think it will. It would be pretty unlikely, but I do like to be prepared and have a little bit of safeguarding going on. So with that being said, let's just crack on with it. So I'll run you through the ingredients as I'm making this. Now the first thing that I always do when I'm making an oil, it's my little bottle here, is I like to cleanse this. Now there are multiple ways that you can cleanse a bottle before you use it. You can cleanse it with incense if you so wish. I'm burning some frankincense incense, which is my favourite one. And you can literally get the stick and put it in the jar, and the smoke will, cleanse out any negativity, make it ready for its purpose, which is to hold a magical oil. I don't like doing that because incense sticks don't have like natural fragrance. They have synthetic oils, and the synthetic fragrance oils, there's not a whole lot of natural stuff going on with an incense stick. So I like to cleanse mine with a little bit of sage, white sage. I don't need a great big, this leaf will do. This is from my own garden. You could also use a eucalyptus if you so wanted, but take the lid off my cauldron so I don't go burning anything. I like to use white sage for this because I think it does a good job of cleansing. So just light the tip and then hold it up and let the smoke go into, you can't even see what I'm doing, I'm sorry. Let the smoke go into the jar. You can kind of put it over the top so it goes in, and I'll sit that there for a minute. Don't forget to do the lid, and you might have to relight that. You can also use a smudge bundle if you so like. I don't know, I always reckon white sage smells a little bit like marijuana. It's my husband reckons it does. Every time I use it, he's like, man, it smells like weed in here. And I don't smoke marijuana. I tried marijuana once when I was a teenager and absolutely hated it and have never smoked it since. But, you know, each to their own. Okay, so I'm just going to set that in my cauldron, and that's still got a few uses in it, that leaf, so I won't be throwing that out. So that's cleansed and the lid is cleansed. Now before I do anything else, I'm actually going to pop in 3 clear quartz crystal chips, and this is to amplify the oil, keep it energized. There are a number of different options for crystals that you can put in a money oil. You can add tiger's eye, you can add pyrite, venturine, I believe is another one, jade. I am perfectly fine just using clear quartz, and I would actually quite like to add a little bit of pyrite, but I don't have any pyrite chips. If I come across some at the local witchy shop, I'll grab some and I might put a couple in. But clear quartz is perfectly fine. A lot of people do use citrine as well. I kind of gone off citrine, heat treated citrine, because it's essentially just heat treated amethyst. So I don't tend to use citrine all that much anymore, unless it's actual natural citrine. But you're more than welcome to use citrine if you so wish. Okay, so that's, I'm just going to put that over here a minute while I concentrate on my herbal blend. So I'm using 3 herbs in this. The first one is basil. Now you can obviously grow basil fairly easily in a pot or in your garden in the summer. It's one of those herbs that is quite easy to grow from seed, or you can buy it from the supermarket. And this is from my garden. I actually don't have a jar for this. I'm redoing my entire herbal apothecary, so I've actually run out of jars. But yeah, so you can just buy a little pack of basil from the herb section at your grocery store if you can't grow it. And I tell you what, buying herbs from the supermarket, it's way cheaper than buying them from a online pagan store, like way cheaper, and just as good a quality. Okay, so basil has been used for, I don't know, years and years and years for attracting wealth. It's very, very good for attracting love as well, attracting things in general, but particularly money. So good staple, good old basil is going in. The next is peppermint, which is actually one of my favourite herbs. Just in general, I'm really attracted to anything in the mint family. Not only does it smell delicious, it's good for so many different types of workings. Obviously, it's really good in money workings and prosperity workings, but it's also very good in healing workings as well. It's a very calming herb. Now, I suffer from anxiety. I was diagnosed with agoraphobia actually when I was 17, along with OCD, and this is all from my garden, this massive jar. I go through a lot of peppermint, so I harvested quite a bit. I think that will do. And I keep a little jar of peppermint in my bag, in my little medicine bag, in my handbag, and if I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and kind of need to calm down and ground, then I inhale the scent of the dried peppermint, and it automatically calms me down. I just love it. It's a very calming, grounding, soothing herb to use. And when you think about how peppermint grows in the garden, or any mint and anything in the mint family, and catmint, for example, and catnip, lemon balm is in the mint family. They are prolific in their growing. They spread roots absolutely everywhere. They multiply. You often, end up ripping large portions of them out because they take over everything, and they're very good at replenishing. So for an ingredient in a money oil, peppermint's particularly good because it's tenacious, and it holds on to things, and it's very good at multiplying, and it's very good at spreading itself around. And it's very, very good in money workings, and you could literally make a money oil just from using peppermint and some clear quartz. Pure peppermint oil, which I'm also going to be using in this working, you can use that just in and of itself, anointing your wallet and coins and credit cards and things like that. Okay, so that's peppermint, and the last herb that I'm going to be using is Cleavers, which looks like this. Now, I don't see a lot of people using Cleavers in workings in general, but I discovered them. I'm trying to get some, hang on, a couple of years ago, and they're a staple now for any sort of money working. Some of this is a bit any sort of money working. So cleavers are often just, they come up in your garden, and I don't really know how to describe the way they look. You can look them up and see, but they attach themselves to anything. They cling to anything. I don't know about other parts of the world, but here in New Zealand, cleavers are known, they have a rather unfortunate folk name of being called Sticky Willy. Yeah, sorry, but that sounds quite gross. But that's what everyone sort of knows it is here. I wasn't prepared to put Sticky Willy on my Cleavers jar in my herbal cabinet. But it clings to everything. You can actually use Cleavers in binding work. You know you've got it in the garden when you're weeding, and you'll find that, this sort of stringy green weed has attached itself to your gardening gloves. It's very good at holding onto things. So if you think about money workings, and money, in this case a money oil, creating a money oil for the purpose of holding on to your money and making sure that that it's a steady flow of money coming in, then Cleavers is a brilliant herb to use for that. And you can actually eat it as well. It's edible. You can kind of saute it and put it in salads and things. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to grind this up, and then we're going to put it in the oil jar. Now when you're grinding, you want to be grinding in a clockwise direction, and you want to be thinking about in your mind's eye and visualizing the purpose of this oil and what you are wanting it to achieve. So essentially you're telling it what you want to do energetically and magically. You can speak it out loud if you want. I tend to not do that. I tend to do a lot of visualization, but you can visualize yourself paying your bills, making sure that you've got enough money to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, pay your insurance, petrol, things like that. You've got food on the table, you've got food in the pantry, all your needs are met financially. It doesn't mean that you're going to be absolutely rolling in dough, but I think in this day and age, and especially, you know, since the pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs and a lot of people have lost their businesses. And I think for me anyway, having security, making sure that my home is secure and that I can feed my family and that my bills are paid, especially things like insurance, then that's the most important thing. I can live without spending money on bits and pieces, you know, on frivolous stuff, but as long as the basics are paid and we have a roof over our head and a nice warm house and comfortable house and food in our bellies, that's the most important thing. And you have to be mindful of the fact that when you're, especially when you're doing money workings, that like especially if you're doing a working to draw in money for a specific need, you've got to be quite proactive in yourself, and you have to be you've got to be responsible. So if you've gone out and spent your rent money on a $500 pair of thigh-high boots, or you've gone out with your friends on a bender for the weekend and you've spent all your bill money, casting money magic to fix your screw-ups isn't going to work. You've got to be responsible, and you have to be proactive. If you're the sort of person that is not very good at budgeting and goes out and spends all their money on shit essentially, instead of, you know, not putting your money where it needs to be going, then you need a budget advisor. You don't need Magick. So just be mindful of that. It's not a fix-all. You know, people think, oh, I'm going to cast a money spell and it's going to fix everything. You've got to be doing a bit of work yourself, because it just does not work like that. The universe will always hold you responsible. Okay, so I think that's grand enough. Now, I'm not completely filling this jar up with herbs. Look at the colour of that, isn't that gorgeous? Because it doesn't need to be completely filled up with herbs, but I'll show you anyway. But yeah, we're just going to hold that over there. We're going to start putting this in. And I leave the herbs in the jar. You could strain it out if you wanted to, but I like to leave the herbs in. So you don't need to completely fill the jar up with herbs. The energies are there. And it's kind of an aesthetic thing. I like to see the herbs floating around in the oil, and I think it just makes the blend, it just gets more potent over time, I think anyway. So alright, so that's that. I'm just going to move that out of the way, leave that there, and put this on the floor. Okie dokie, so now we are going to fill it with our carrier oil. Now, it's completely up to you what carrier oil you use. I like to use liquid coconut oil for mine. I like the fact that it's clear. I don't like oils that have got like a slight colour to them. It's just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't mean that, you know, one's better than the other. It literally is just what you prefer. I really like liquid coconut oil, and I tell you what I also really like. Sorry, I really needed that cup of tea. Is mineral oil. A cosmetic grade mineral oil. And the reason why I like that is because it has an indefinite shelf life. Whereas these oils will go rancid. I would give this about a year. And if you want to extend the life of your magical oils, you can add a little bit of vitamin E oil to it. Proper vitamin E oil, not that crap that you get in the capsules at the supermarket. Soap supplies sell proper vitamin E oil vitamin E oil. I'm not putting any in this, but that is something that you can do as well. But just bear in mind, these oils they're not indefinite, you know. They do have a shelf life, and if you've ever smelt oil that has gone off, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it reeks. It smells like bitter rotten almonds. It's foul. Okay. So that's in there. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do is add some essential oils, 1 drop of each of these, and I have 3. The first one is, actually I'll show you, the first one is basil. And hopefully I can just add 1 drop without adding any more, because I can be a little bit heavy-handed. Are you going to come out? One of basil, 1 of peppermint. This is going to smell gorgeous. And it was 3, so see what I mean? It doesn't really matter, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. And 1 of patchouli, and this is going to be, oh no, that one came out pretty good too. Normally patchouli can get a little bit, it's quite a viscous oil, so add as much essential oil as you like. It doesn't matter if you add a little bit extra, it's not going to affect how the oil works, but I did have it in my mind just to add 1 of each, but honestly it's fine. Pop the lid on it and give it a really good shake. And look at that. Lovely. I'm actually going to give this a wee whiffy smell because, oh God, that's beautiful. It's earthy and it's got a lovely fresh peppermint scent running through it. That is lovely. So perhaps 1 drop of patchouli, or maybe, I think there might have been 2 actually that went in there. 1 of basil and 3 of peppermint if you want to make my exact recipe. But that smells just absolutely gorgeous. Now, I will not be using this straight away, so I'm going to let this sit for a good week before I actually use it. We are in a waxing moon phase, so it's the perfect time to let this sit and imbue and soak up some of those new moon energies. And if you like, you can imbue this oil with other crystals. So you could sit it like in a little bowl with some other crystals surrounding it, like maybe some pyrite or some tiger's eye. And to use this oil, there are multiple ways that you can use a spell oil. Obviously you can anoint candles with it, so a green candle or a gold candle if you have one on hand, or a beeswax candle, or a white candle in a pinch. And you can anoint like a spell candle, you know, they're generally about that long, or a big, you know, long taper candle, or a tea light. It doesn't really matter. Either or will work perfectly fine. You can use it to anoint your wallet or credit cards or bills, to ensure that your bills are paid. You can use it to anoint yourself, so long as you're not allergic to any of the ingredients in here, so make sure that you do your research. And perhaps if you do have quite sensitive skin, leave out the essential oils and just use the herb. You could perhaps supplement one of the herbs that I've used, maybe Cleavers. You could supplement that for the patchouli herb if you didn't want to use the essential oil. There are lots of different little variations that you can do. You can write runes or bind runes on a little piece of parchment and put it like under a candle and do a working that way. You can add it to incense blends, like a couple of drops to an incense blend. It's really, really limitless what you can do with spell oils. So that's it, really simple to make, and yeah, nice little spell oil, and I will leave it there. Sorry if I waffled a little bit. I really had to practice with, no, that's not true at all. I always waffle, let's be honest. I always waffle in my videos. It's just part of my charm, I guess. Alright, thanks for watching, and I hope that you found this video useful. Give it a go. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.